So how did I take Xerath, who was an underplayed, overpowered champion, and make him a well-balanced, effective mid laner? I sat down and I said, hey, what are the issues with this champion? What do modern champions play like? And what is it that's keeping this character from being top tier and played in even professional games? So what I did is I then refactored his Q ability so that it was one ability. You press and held it, and the longer you held it down, the longer the line went. You release it, and it was otherwise exactly the same. Next, I went and looked at the stun ability. We replaced the mark stun that had to be followed up with another ability by a skill shot. This very simple skill shot fired out, it hit the enemy, stunned them, and hit them with just the end of that stun and get the biggest payout. Now all that was left was to sell the fantasy of Xerath. Now Xerath was still, in a lot of people's mind, this ultimate AoE mage. So I took the ultimate, and I made it a basic ability. I made it so it did full damage at the center, the same amount of damage as an ultimate blast. But around the outside, it did 70% of the damage, right? Not quite as much. But it would slow anyone that it struck. If you're having trouble stunning someone, you drop your big AoE and slow them, making it easier to land the stun. If you can land that stun perfectly, well, then you follow up with this precise sweet spot, this little bullseye in the middle of the AoE, and get more damage out of it. But what did I want to do with the ultimate? The very first thing I tried was a laser that you could click on the screen, draw on the screen, and then it would call down like this god ray from the sky. And we actually had some fun times with people drawing obscene objects and all that, which kind of said, okay, we really can't have that in there. Instead, then, we changed it to a series of clicks. Now you have these powerful, punchy, significant, super long-range shots that you can use to finish off an enemy, which plays really well with the ranged assassin pattern we were working on. We have the ability for you to go to mid lane and help save your team in bottom lane by basically forcing the enemy to dance around these shots and saving your friends. And it worked. And the character was worked, and it was healthy, and it was balanced. Almost. I added one more very essential, very special mechanic, and that is that his basic attacks would restore 10% of maximum mana. Now, this encourages Xerath players to build max mana. It also encourages Xerath players to stay close to minions. But then I did one more delicious and terrible thing. I made it so that it restored 3 times as much mana if you auto-attacked an enemy champion. This was really exciting, and between the combination of all of these factors, we took a character who was overpowered, made him more engaging to play, and by the time I had left League of Legends, he had been played by 12% of the player base, which was up from like the 1% that had been playing it before. So all in all, I think this was a huge success.